and I mean, this is like beyond the pale. We need a beyond the pale alert, I think. There's a lawsuit in Texas where they are claiming that requiring vaccine, or even giving vaccines, these COVID vaccines, is a violation of the Nuremburg Code. The Nuremberg Code, Dr. Mengele was this infamous physician in the Third Reich who did just these god-awful torture experiments on mostly Jewish prisoners during the Nazi era. I mean, things like finding out, how cold can you get people before you quickly kill them, or what poisons can you inject into people's veins that rapidly kill them, or how high does, if you drop somebody from 20 feet on their head, he was just doing insane things. And he worked for Bayer. And they were doing experimental new drugs on these concentration camp victims. So the Nuremberg Codes is that you don't experiment on prisoners of war. Well, number one, the Nuremberg Code is not an international law. It was a principle. Number two, it's not a U.S. law either. Number three, and probably this should have been number one, the COVID vaccines are not experimental anymore. They have not been experimental since they became available to the general public. They were tested on volunteers, people who raised their hand and said, yes, put me in the study. They were tested. They were found to be safe. I mean, they went through 3 levels of testing. Is it safe? Is it effective? Is it safe and effective? Is it, do we have very, very low levels of side effects? They went through all that stuff. But this is apparently a popular tactic among anti-vaxxers, even people who are hysterical about measles vaccines and things. And it's wrong. It's just wrong. These are not experimental vaccines. The Nuremberg Code does not apply. And the hospitals that are, administering vaccines, or physicians, they're just trying to protect their employees and their patients from COVID-19. But now Tucker Carlson goes on TV and says that vaccination is the new medical Jim Crow. Tucker Carlson, who refuses to say whether he's vaccinated. Why? Because, little Tucker is probably well vaccinated, almost certainly. And I guarantee you he was in a bubble. I mean, the guy's a multimillionaire. And Fox News is $1 billion operation. They're not going to risk their talent. He's not going to risk the gig he's got and the website he owns and one of the major right-wing websites. So, he goes on TV and he goes, oh, this is medical Jim Crow as Democrats, he says Democrats are forcing Americans essentially to be experimented on. I think at the bottom line, what's really going on here is not that Tucker Carlson gives a rat's ass about vaccine. In fact, he's almost certainly vaccinated himself. It's that there is money to be made by generating outrage, phony outrage, faux outrage. If you can scare people about things that aren't real, get them all cranked up. I mean, this is Fox's business model. This is right-wing media's business model. And frankly, I think it's doing serious damage to this country. You've got now states where we have 12 states. In fact, it might be 14 by now, where 70% of the population, of the adult population, has been vaccinated. Joe Biden is trying to hit that number for 1 month from, tomorrow, right? Yeah, July 4th. 70%. You've got a dozen states that have already hit that. But Alabama, hey, we just hit 30%. Mississippi, we just hit 31%. Why? Because all you can get on the radio in Alabama and Mississippi is right-wing talk. And everybody watches Fox News. Because they have, put themselves out as, hey, we are the source for, the Klan, the reinvention of the Klan as the Republican Party, per my first hour rant. So this is pretty grim stuff. The vaccine mandates do not, just the vaccine, do not violate any codes or any laws. Everything's good. It's working. New York City yesterday did not have one single COVID death. Why? Because, they're not watching Fox News. They saw what happened. They were the first to be hit.